want you to hit me as hard as you can.
He's your friendly neighborhood Tobey Maguire. At one time, he was an A-lister who was in blockbusters and Oscar winners. Mr. Maguire actually helped bring to life what we know now as the modern-day superhero film. Tobey Maguire was typecast as a superhero before it was cool to be typecast as a superhero. And nowadays, it's actually very possible for an actor to not get stuck in that comic book stuff. But Tobey never really broke free of that. He tried really hard. He tried, and I really respect that. The world loved his boyish face, but that only worked up until a certain age. And in the late 90s and the early 2000s, Hollywood had plenty of characters to fit that face. But now he kinda looks old and young at the same time. He's like forever young, which is what most people want in Hollyweird. But for Tobey, his eternal youth was harmful to expanding his career. One second the guy is slinging his web all over Tinseltown, and then the next, he's gone, nowhere to be found. Lost forever in our television tubes of the past. So I ask you the question, the ultimate question, the WTF question, what the f***? That's right, what the f*** happened to Tobey Maguire? Like many child stars, he was a high school dropout, and his first noticeable role was in the film This Boy's Life, where he developed a friendship with Leonardo DiCaprio. Just in case you were wondering which Leo I was talking about. He did the crazy nightclub Hollywood thing with Leo and the gang, and he was pretty much an alcoholic around the age of 18. But he sobered up and was able to get back on track with his acting. Good for you, Tobey. Anything is possible if you just believe. And stop drinking a lot. His first major role was in the movie The Ice Storm. It was a critically acclaimed film directed by the great Ang Lee. It's a drama with a nice ensemble cast. Tobey fits right in, and he showed the world that he was a talented young man who could handle some dramatic material.
So, how about we take a bath together?
Around that same time, he was in the film Deconstructing Harry, from master filmmaker Woody Allen, back when it was okay to work with him. Tobey excelled at channeling that nerdy, eccentric charm that Woody demands in pretty much every single character he writes. Then there was the film Joyride, where he plays a young man who just wants to go on a joyride, but gets in over his head with like murder and stuff. Things get out of control! Then he took another joyride with Hunter S. Thompson in Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. It was a small but memorable role. Every time I watch this, I'm like, hey look everybody, it's Tobey Maguire. And everyone's like, yeah, we know. And then I'm like, I was just pointing that out, because, he's Spider-Man. And they're all like, yeah, we know. And then I just respond with, it's cool that he's in this movie. And they just keep watching the movie. That exact conversation happens every single time I watch Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. Even when I'm alone.
Get in.
And of course there's Pleasantville. 'Tis a wonderful film, one of my favorites actually, and this is the perfect character for Tobey, a misunderstood, out-of-place 90s nerd. And you can even see early signs of Peter Parker coming out of him. It's a weird way to say that, but you can see the Peter coming out. This film is packed with wonderful cinematic themes, if you're into that kind of stuff. Themes like acceptance, freedom, oppression, social change, sex, art, God, and television. All of our favorite things. There's so much going on in Pleasantville, and Tobey Maguire's performance holds it all together. It's a great film. Go watch it. Go turn on your TV set after you watch this video, or you can pause this and you can come back and you can watch it. There's so many options because we live in the future. Then there was the Oscar-winning The Cider House Rules. It's a movie about some lovable abortionists or something. Tobey got the role after Leo turned it down, and Charlize Theron has gone on record to say that she was not happy with her working relationship with Tobey Maguire, and this was the first time Tobey was labeled difficult to work with. Charlize Theron didn't go into detail, but she said making the film was a struggle. But Tobey and her are totally cool now. And of course, Tobey is great in this movie. And his performance left an impression on director Sam Raimi, which led to him casting him as Peter Parker. And Peter Parker If you don't know, that's the secret identity of Spider-Man. And I know The Cider House Rules is considered a good movie, and it has some good moments, like Michael Caine, he's really great in it. But no offense, it's not for me, I don't know. For the most part, this cider house does not rule.
Okay.
Then he worked with director Ang Lee again in the Civil War film Ride with the Devil. He tries his best to slap on an old-timey southern accent. Once again, he got the role after Leo turned it down. I'm beginning to see a pattern here. He's always in DiCaprio's shadow. Then there came the wonderful Wonder Boys. It's a wonderful little film. Everybody's wonderful in it. All the boys. It was nominated for Best Adapted Screenplay, and the movie's song actually won an Oscar. But I'm sure Bob Dylan didn't care. Tobey is really great in this one. He plays Michael Douglas's troubled student who shoots his girlfriend's dog. It's one of those comedies that they call dark. And his character takes on Robert Downey Jr. as a lover, which kind of foreshadows his cameo in Tropic Thunder, where he plays Robert Downey Jr.'s lover. His monk lover, or something. That's right, Iron Man and Spider-Man have been lovers twice in movie land. But his cameo in Tropic Thunder is one of the best cameos ever. It's just like, once again, oh look, it's Tobey Maguire. that was great. A little Tobey goes a long way. But let's go back to the late 90s really quick, where he acted in a film called Dawn's Plum, a film that he hates so much that it resulted in a lawsuit brought on by Leo and Tobey, and all that legal mumbo-jumbo led to this film not being able to be released commercially in the US or Canada. Apparently this film is really, really bad, and Leo and Tobey don't want you to see it. And I heard it's because they act like horrible young Hollywood jerks, which Leo and Tobey Maguire, in the late 90s, being horrible young Hollywood jerks? I'm shocked. I'm shocked. So they did not want that impression out there. Dawn's Plum, everybody go watch it. Then there was Cats and Dogs. He played a dog, and he was a good boy. A very, very good boy.
Hey, you guys know this one? Here we come, I got you. Oh, I just missed you.
Then came the Year of the Spider, which brought on the millennium of the superhero movie that we are currently living in. Spider-Man came out in 2002 and broke box office records. It was a huge, huge success. Huge. The world was bit by a big super bug and the sickness took over us and there is no mandatory vaccine in sight. Like now it feels like every other thing is a superhero movie. And not that there's anything wrong with that. I love them, don't get me wrong. I'm just saying it's Tobey's fault. Spider-Man is such a great film, and it feels like a comic book coming to life. Look at all those beautiful colors and the thrilling action and the lovable characters. Look at that. That right there, that is what a superhero movie should be. It's a perfect balance of comic book camp with realistic drama. And my wife loves Tobey Maguire as Spider-Man. She loves him so much that she actually refused to watch the reboot, and then refused to watch the reboot of the reboot. That's how dedicated she is to Tobey. And I'm sure there's other fans out there like her. Maybe, or she just really doesn't care about Spider-Man, which is entirely possible. And like my wife, some say that Tobey Maguire is the perfect Peter Parker. He's everybody's favorite Marvel teenager, even though Tobey was like 26. Tobey Maguire was not a Spidey fan. He actually admits that he's never read a single page of a comic book. But he did lots of physical training, yoga, martial arts, and rock climbing to get into character. I respect that. And nobody, not nobody, had any faith in this nerdy man-child. So Tobey and the director, Sam Raimi, filmed some fight scene test footage to show everybody that Tobey Maguire could kick butt. And he did. He kicked a lot of butt. And the studio was like, we like how he kicks butt. We didn't think he could kick butt, but he showed us he could kick butt, so we're gonna let him kick butt as Spider-Man. And it was grand. He's a great Spider-Man, and Sam Raimi really pulled out that action hero demon from Tobey. Nowadays, in the present time of the modern day, it's standard basic stuff for a nerdy actor to bulk up for a comic book movie. And all those muscular geeks that we have out there now, well, you can thank Tobey for that. I call Tobey the OMG, the original muscular geek. And remember when he did that kiss upside down? Everyone was like, whoa, usually in movies people kiss right side up, but no, not Tobey Maguire. This Spider-Man movie is one of the best superhero origin stories ever put to film. Probably the best. I'm sure there's other good ones out there. Tell me in those comments that are down there. Once again, Tobey was described as being difficult to work with on set. Even James Franco, who gets along with everybody, sometimes a little bit too well, didn't exactly have anything nice to say about working with Tobey Maguire, according to those tabloids that never lie. But yeah, I'm just gonna say it again. I love the Spider-Man movie. It's a great movie. And if you don't like it, then you are a horrible person. There, I said it. Not really, I'm sure you have some redeeming qualities. Then he starred in Seabiscuit, a critically acclaimed, exciting, Oscar-nominated film. He plays a somewhat blind redhead who rides horses in the 30s. And since he was fresh off playing Spider-Man, Tobey had to lose over 20 pounds of spider muscle to play this tiny jockey man. And he injured his back on the set of Seabiscuit. Later on down the road, this would lead to some behind-the-scenes Spider-Man drama, but we'll get to that in a little bit. The film Seabiscuit actually went on to become the highest-selling DVD drama of all time. So out of all the dramas that are on DVD, people bought Seabiscuit the most. Those other movies, they didn't have enough Seabiscuits in them. Seabiscuit. Sounds delicious, actually. But seriously, this is a really good movie. Some great horse acting and some great human acting, and it gave us all hope. Hope that Tobey Maguire had a long, inspired career full of interesting, dramatic performances up his sleeve. And he kinda did. Yeah. But of course, he had to swing back into that big-budget superhero stuff with Spider-Man 2 in 2004. Spider-Man 2 is one of the best superhero movies of all time. Past, present, and future. I went into the future and there's still not better. This was another huge success. Not as big of a moneymaker as the first one, but still huge. Great effects, great action, and all the characters we love. Sam Raimi and Tobey are at their very best. A rare sequel that tops the original. It happens sometimes, but it's rare. But of course, they all had to deal with the Tobey Maguire Seabiscuit back injury. He sent his doctors and his agent in to talk with the studio, and they asked for a much larger paycheck, and for the shooting schedule to change so that Tobey Maguire could deal with his injury. But was this issue really about Tobey Maguire's back? Or was it about Tobey Maguire's wallet? Did he really need more time and money to heal? Or was his agent just trying to get more for his client? Just what good agents do. It's a nasty business, you know? And Tobey is a poker player, so maybe this is how he was playing his hand. But the studio called Tobey's bluff, and he was fired. That's right, Tobey Maguire was fired from Spider-Man 2. And then they replaced him with Jake Gyllenhaal. Pre-Mysterio. I hate getting replaced by Jake Gyllenhaal. And while all that Spider-Man 2 drama was going on, he actually produced a Spike Lee joint, The 25th Hour, with the Hulk. But let's get back to that Spider-Man drama, shall we? Luckily, Tobey was dating the daughter of a high-up executive, and he did his executive stuff, and suddenly Tobey was back. Back as Spider-Man, back in those tights, back in that web. And Tobey Maguire has apologized, and he said that he didn't handle the situation as professionally as he should. But I mean, the dude hurt his back, if that was true. So give him a break. I mean, I'm not a doctor, scientist person, but backs are important. And the studio demanded that Tobey take a full physical, and they found that he was healed enough to be the Spider-Man. We'll never really know what really happened with this one. It's a spider mystery. But Tobey did end up with $17 million, and we did end up with a great superhero movie, so it's a win-win for me and Tobey. But yeah, Spider-Man 2, great. Then in 2006 came The Good German. Sometimes actors need to do a little artsy-fartsy film in between superhero stuff, and Tobey, that's what he does. So in between Spider-Man 2 and 3, he went off and worked with Steven Soderbergh, and made this really interesting film that feels like a classic movie. It was actually shot as if it was made in 1945. Everything down to the equipment, the lighting, and even the performances are loyal to the style of that era, the old Hollywood days. The good old days. I don't know, I wasn't there, so I don't know if they were good. I really respect this approach, but it didn't do much for anybody. It's one of those interesting cinematic risks that hotshot directors like to take, but it just didn't pay off. I still think it's interesting though. Good German, good try. And then there was Spider-Man 3, which is the worst thing ever. Too many villains, the tone is scattered, Tobey's horrible. I remember LOLing, actually laughing out loud in the theaters at this. It just felt wrong, but I just couldn't hold it in. I was like, what is this? What is going on? This is a Spider-Man movie? What? And that dance, what the f*** is up with that dance? That f***ing dance, oh my god. If someone was like, hey, let's ruin Spider-Man with one dance, I would be like, hey, that's impossible. You can't possibly ruin Spider-Man with a dance, and Tobey did. And Spider-Man 3 was around the same time as The Dark Knight and Iron Man, so it just felt even worse, because it was like, there were all these really good superhero movies surrounding it, and we're like, this is what Spider-Man has become? And even though it almost made like $1 billion, it ruined everything. It ruined Spider-Man. It's horrible. I don't care if you like it. It's horrible. It's supposed to be like, I don't care. It's horrible. And even Sam Raimi hates Spider-Man 3, so I'm allowed to crap on it. And then there was Spider-Man 4 that almost happened, but since Spider-Man 3 sucked so much, and Tobey was like 35 years old, they rebooted him with Andrew Garfield. And then they rebooted him with Tom Holland. They rebooted his reboot. So many boots.
Where do all these guys come from?
But in 2009, he had one of his best performances of his career in Brothers. He was nominated for a Golden Globe. And he finally teamed up with Mr. Mysterio. They played brothers. They were the brothers in Brothers. And Tobey was a soldier who returns home after his family thought he was dead, and his wife had moved on with his more attractive, more alive brother. And this really ticked Tobey off, and he has a brilliant freakout. One of the finest freakouts to ever grace the silver screen.
You know what I did? The fucking distraction you! You know what I've done? Hey, come on!
And this film is actually referenced in a Bad Meets Evil song, which is the strangest movie shout-out ever in music history. I have no idea why they're referencing this movie in this song, but it's just like, what? It was just strange to me. Like, of all movies, you're gonna reference this one? I mean, who references Brothers? Especially in a rap song.
Notice the fly that's on the cover, the double XL, I'm back in the day like Tobey Maguire from the Brothers.
And he even gets the title wrong. He calls it The Brothers. So if you're gonna reference Brothers, at least reference it right. It's not The Brothers. Waste of 5'9". Sorry, I don't know. It's just always bothered me, so I wanted to get that off my chest. It's a good song, though. But it caused me to never listen to music ever again, because that one lyric is just so weird. Who references Brothers? In 2011, he found himself tangled up in a scandal involving illegal poker, with a strong supporting cast of Matt Damon, Ben Affleck, and his pal Leonardo DiCaprio. Then his reputation was pretty much ruined. A little bit. With a tell-all book about that underground world of celebrity poker. It was written by Molly Bloom, and was titled Molly's Game. And Tobey was not the hero of this story. No, he was the villain. Well, they don't straight out say it, but everyone knows it has to be Tobey Maguire. So I'm gonna say allegedly, just apply that word for everything I'm saying. There was one rumor that Tobey offered Miss Molly a $1,000 poker chip, if she barked like a seal. And he didn't even say please. It's very rude, very, very chauvinistic stuff. If he did it. Allegedly. Molly described Tobey Maguire as the worst tipper, the best player, and the absolute worst loser. And even called him the Hannibal Lecter of the card table. And there's even a movie, Molly's Game, where I think Michael Cera plays the guy who could maybe be Tobey Maguire? That's right, Michael Cera as the guy who's not Tobey Maguire.
Let's play.
And he was actually keeping busy being a producer, a movie producer, making movies like Rock of Ages, which was a flop, and The Fifth Wave, which was not successful. And then he tried to produce a movie called Rub and Tug with Scarlett Johansson. She was going to play a transgender person, So apparently actors cannot pretend to be other people anymore, and the casting of Scarlett Johansson was deemed politically incorrect. So the angry mob on social media that controls everything canceled this film. So we're never gonna see the Tobey Maguire, Scarlett Johansson rub and tug movie. It's been rubbed and tugged out of existence. Tobey Maguire is now a family man, and even his ex-wife says that he's the greatest dad in the world. That's nice, aww. But Tobey hasn't given up. He was in the movie The Details. It's a dark comedy about infidelity that nobody saw and nobody remembers. There's raccoons in it. And then there was The Great Gatsby, which is a film that's known more for the Leo meme than anything. I'm sure F. Scott Fitzgerald rolls over in his grave every time he hears that Jay-Z song. Does every movie have to be Moulin Rouge with you, Baz Luhrmann? Does it? Does it? It just didn't work. It felt like a really long music video. It looks pretty, but yeah, it's too flashy for me. But at least you got to see Tobey Maguire with his BFF, Leonardo DiCaprio. BFFs together. It's great, old sport. Then he made an appearance in Labor Day. Everyone was really excited for this one because it seemed like Oscar bait, and the director was fresh off of Juno and Up in the Air. But then when Labor Day came, nobody cared.
I promise you, I would sooner cut off my own hand than bring any more grief to Adele.
In 2014 and 15, he did the outrageous IFC comedy The Spoils of Babylon and Spoils Before Dying. It was hilarious stuff, the perfect satire. And Tobey is actually used really well in this one. It still wasn't big enough to be considered like a huge comeback or anything, but it did give him a chance to show off his comedic range. And he's got range. Boy, he's got range. Look at that range. And he's funny. Tobey Maguire is funny. And even though he was out there trying, it still felt like we were living in a Tobey Maguire-less world. He was absent from most movies. Most movies didn't have Tobey Maguire in them. And Tobey's absence from movies can be blamed on him being extremely selective on his roles. He doesn't take just anything anymore. He's got plenty of money, so this is the time to be picky. And making a movie, it takes so much time, you gotta invest so much into it, so he doesn't do a movie unless he is completely in love with everything about it. So if you see a Tobey Maguire movie, you know that he is in love with it. And a role that he really did love and could relate to was the film Pawn Sacrifice, where he plays chess prodigy Bobby Fischer in a Cold War drama. It's a fascinating film and was really well received by critics and audiences, those who actually saw it. Now, it was not a blockbuster, but it kept Tobey in our minds. It was like a little poke, like, remember, I'm still here, I can still act, there's still roles out there for me. And we're like, oh yeah, you're right, Tobey. Good job. Keep it up. But he didn't.
That's over now. They stole it from me, Carmine. They took it. That was today. Today.
And he was the producer and narrator of the film The Boss Baby, which looks like a stupid movie to me. I don't care. I don't want to watch this one. It's like Stewie for a family-friendly Family Guy, and the horrid voice of Alec Baldwin's coming out of it. I'm a Rugrats guy. Enough with these babies. It's not my cup of tea, not my bottle. But it made a lot of money, cause what the fuck else are you gonna take your kids to nowadays, right? I'm sorry, I just really hate The Boss Baby. I hate it. I hate it. He's a boss and he's a baby. Like, there's a whole, that's a whole movie.
So, that's my story. Our story.
So I'm scrolling through Tobey Maguire's Rotten Tomatoes page right now, and I can literally see his films turn rotten. Like, half is red and then half is green. And I'm not saying that we should blindly trust these unholy killer tomatoes, but it's kinda telling when your whole batch is spoiled. And you can all trace it back to Brothers. That was like the last good movie he ever did, and that was the year 2009 Anno Domini, AD. After Death? I don't know. And then nothing but rotten green. With the exception of Pawn Sacrifice. Pawn Sacrifice is always the exception. It's got 72%. But of course, Tobey Maguire was not a complete failure as a producer. No, he did have some good films out there. Tobey Maguire is the producer of acclaimed films like Z for Zachariah, Boys in the Wood, and Brittany Runs a Marathon. Good job, Tobey.
Good boy, yes you are.
So he's actually been very involved in the industry. He's just spending more of his time behind the camera nowadays, and there's nothing wrong with that. Behind and in front of the camera are both important places. So what the happened to Tobey Maguire? Well, it all really comes down to one thing. Tobey Maguire hates being famous. He hates the paparazzi, he hates the red carpets, he hates the Hollywood scene, and I get it. He has been consumed by the biz since he was a child. It's been his life, and he did it. He conquered it. He's had enough. And I think the role offers slowed down because it's hard to imagine Tobey Maguire as a person who is over the age of 40. And it's hard for Hollywood to write characters that this guy would fit. I'm sure there's scripts out there that he would be great at bringing to life, but it doesn't seem like anybody wants to. I know there's a filmmaker out there who can give him a chance. Do it! Tobey, there's some interesting roles somewhere out there for you. I know it, you're great, you can do it, you got it! And it seems like the filmmaker that may bring on your comeback is your good old friend, Sam Raimi. And as we all know, Doctor Strange 2 is coming, and Tobey Maguire has to return. Doctor Strange is being directed by Sam Raimi, the same director as Spider-Man, and Doctor Strange has the power to, do stuff with multiverses. This is the perfect time, the perfect moment, and we cannot miss this opportunity. Into the Spider-Verse was huge, so we know that audiences can accept this. All these clues really give me hope that they are going to bring Tobey into the MCU.
Hey everyone.
Even a cameo would be fine. This is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. And plus, J.K. Simmons was in Far From Home, so you got that connection. There's a big clue that there could be a Sam Raimi portal that Tobey could walk through. And in Sam Raimi's own film, Spider-Man 2, they actually give a shout-out to Doctor Strange, so you know he exists in the universe. It's totally possible. This could be the best comeback of all time. The resurrection of Tobey Maguire. Imagine it. All we have to do is believe. And complain on the internet. Let's do it. Start complaining now.
Enough!
But I really made this video because I want to take this time to tell Tobey Maguire, thank you. Thank you for helping to bring the superhero blockbuster back into our pop culture. And thanks for making it a little better. Also, thank you for those incredible little gems of cinema that you produced and starred in. A truly fine filmography, if I do say so myself. Tobey has great talent, great skills, great power, and with that great power comes great responsibility. So thanks for making those good movies, Tobey. And nobody, not nobody, should give a f*** about what the f*** happened to Tobey Maguire. We will be forever caught in the sticky web of Tobey. WTF.
You know, I guess one person can make a difference. Enough said.